And we begin this morning with the latest on the search of former President Trump's Mar-a-Lago estate. Lawyers for the Justice Department said yesterday that some of the documents the FBI recovered during their search may contain information that's protected by attorney-client privileges. That disclosure by the DOJ was sent to U.S. District Judge Eileen Cannon. She's currently weighing a request from Trump's legal team to have what's called a special master appointed to review the documents that were seized by the DOJ. NBC News Homeland Security correspondent Julia Ainsley joins us now for more on this. So, Julia, how could this disclosure by the DOJ impact the judge's decision on whether to appoint a special master?
Well, she may decide, Joe, that, in fact, this isn't a decision she needs to make, that, in fact, the point is moot because the filter team at the FBI has already completed their job of going through these documents and deciding what might be protected under attorney-client privilege, what needs to be handed over to the National Archives, and what maybe should have been classified that was not kept in the correct location. And so maybe the job is already done, and so why appoint someone else to do that? So we should be able to get more of a window into that today, and also to see the arguments from the Trump team about why they think someone might still be necessary. Perhaps they think you should have someone go in after them. I guess you would have to be collecting all of this work again and going through it. We know it took them the better part of August just to get through all of these documents. To start that process over would seem a little tedious, but we'll get more insight into that today. But it may be that the time to appoint a special master would have been weeks ago, and that simply this isn't even a decision she would need to make anymore.
Julia, can you walk us through how a review like this works and how the DOJ determines what might be privileged information and what might be important to their national security investigation?
That's right. They have a filter team. This is largely career agents at the FBI, not people who are appointed to serve under any one administration. You could very well have some of these people going through these documents that actually came in under the Trump administration, and they're going through and deciding what might be attorney-client privilege and maybe what should be actually set aside. In other words, not looked at as part of this case. That would be protected under attorney-client privilege. Perhaps it's something personal. And note that the former president wrote down that doesn't necessarily need to be preserved, doesn't need to go over to the National Archives under the Presidential Records Act, and actually can just be sent back to the former president himself, saying that it would be his property. It seems that Trump did not do a good job of sorting through documents, keeping them where they needed to go. So it's a lot like just going through any pile of papers you might find on my desk or your desk, Joe. Maybe you're more organized than I am, and trying to figure out what folder they need to go in there. It's so all mishmashed together. That's the job of a filter team. Often it can take months, but in this case, we know because it was so high profile, they were able to put a lot of people on a team like this so that the job can be done in a matter of weeks. And, you know, we're looking at 11 sets here. We're not sure exactly how many documents they have. We can imagine the work was cumbersome, and it took a long time to do just to figure out what actually needed to be preserved.
Hopefully no one has to go through either of our desks, Julia. That's I definitely know that would be a good thing on my part. Real quickly, Julia, now that what happens, that the DOJ sent out these documents to the judge for review ahead of Thursday's ruling about that special master.
Yeah, that's right. So now we'll be able to see on Thursday, when we actually have a ruling on this, whether or not the judge still thinks that it's necessary to have a special master and to restart this process again. It could be very well that the judge says, look, this job has already been done. And you have to remember that the filter team is not deciding what might be criminal. They're just deciding what needs to be kept and where it needs to go. And so that decision will still be left to prosecutors if they do indeed decide to present a case and pursue charges based on what they find here. So it's still more work to be done. It's not as if everything falls on this filter team, and it could very well be that a special master would no longer be necessary. But this week we'll see how that plays out in court.
It seems like we do every week. Wait and see how it plays out in court. Julia Ainsley, thanks so much. Appreciate it. In Georgia, a judge says Governor Brian Kemp must testify before a grand jury that's looking into potential election interference allegedly organized by former President Trump and his allies. Kemp was trying to avoid testifying. The judge did rule that Kemp can wait until after this November's race for governor, noting the close proximity between now and Election Day. Kemp came under fire by Trump in the days and weeks following the 2020 election after the Georgia governor refused Trump's demands to overturn the results of the election. This morning, Ukraine's military says it has begun a counteroffensive to retake Russian-held territory in the south. The apparent start of the counterattack comes after weeks of buildup and nearly 6 months since Russian forces seized the southern Kherson region in the early days of the war. Meanwhile, a team from the International Atomic Energy Agency has arrived in Kyiv. They're visiting the Zaporzhzhia nuclear power plant, which is currently under Russian control. The agency says the team will determine if the nuclear plant is able to operate safely. For more on all this, we are joined by NBC News correspondent Josh Lederman, who's in central Ukraine. Josh, let's start with this trip by the UN's nuclear watchdog. What are they hoping to achieve, and how long are they actually expected to be at the plants?
Well, Joe, once they get to the Zaporizhzhia nuclear power plant, those IAEA inspectors are expected to spend several days on site. But this morning, an advisor to President Zelensky says that Russia has been shelling the route that those inspectors would take from Kyiv into Zaporizhzhia in order to try to force them to instead go through Russian-occupied territory to get there. So that's kind of the latest wrinkle as they try to get this visit underway. But once they do successfully get to the power plant, they're expected to try to identify what damage has already been done to the plant by shelling over the last several months, and also assess whether some of the backup systems, the safety mechanisms at the plant are still intact, and also to try to get a sense of what conditions those Ukrainian workers at the plant are working under. Some of them have reported being tortured, but there's obviously a lot they're not going to be able to do, such as stop the shelling at the plant or force Russia to hand back control of the plant to Ukraine.
So, Josh, let's talk about that counter-offensive by Ukraine in the south. Do we know how that attack is progressing? What's the latest there?
Well, over the last 24 hours or so, Joe, we've seen significant fighting in the area of Kherson, where this counteroffensive is taking place, the first city to fall to Russia in the war, with Ukraine's military saying this morning that they were able to destroy about 30 Russian military assets, including an S-300 anti-aircraft system. The Russians saying that as they repelled the Ukrainians, they killed several hundred of them. Neither of those claims can be verified, but clearly the fight is moving toward the south. Something that Ukraine has been signaling for weeks. The Russians, in response, have been pouring troops into the south in anticipation of this. And so both sides really have built up their militaries, now expected to have the fighting really intensifying as Ukraine tries to start pushing the Russians out of territory they seized earlier in this war. President Zelensky saying last night that if Russians who are currently in Kherson want to survive, it's time that they go home right now.
Strong words there from the Ukraine president. Josh Lederman, thank you so much. Back at home, President Biden will deliver a primetime speech in Philadelphia on Thursday. It's being billed as a speech about the, quote, soul of the nation. The president is expected to talk about how America's rights and freedoms are still under attack. It's a return to the core message of his 2020 campaign as Americans get ready to vote in November's midterms. NBC News White House reporter Lauren Egan joins us now with more. So first of all, Lauren, what more can you tell us about this week's speech? Do we know what the president's expected to say?
We expect him to pick up on a lot of the same themes that he ran on in his 2020 presidential campaign. We know that he's going to say that America's reputation on the world stage is still on the line. He's going to say our credibility with our foreign allies is on the ballot this November. And he's going to say that American democracy, importantly, is still something that he is fighting for. Last week, the president gave a speech at a Democratic fundraiser, and he sort of previewed what I think we can also expect to hear from him on Thursday. He really went after what he's calling MAGA Republicans. He compared that stream of Republicans to being semi-fascist. So we expect him to really make a clear difference between Democrats, Republicans. He's going to paint those Republicans as anti-democratic and make very clear for the American people that that is what he views as the choice this November in those midterm elections.
So Philadelphia, clearly a city with a lot of history. Why give the address in Philadelphia, and why now?
Well, we know Pennsylvania as a state is very important to the president. He was born there. Philly is where he launched his presidential campaign. And as you mentioned, there's just a lot. It's dripping in symbolism. It's where the Declaration of Independence and the Constitution were debated. And importantly, it's also home to a very competitive Senate race and a governor's race. So the state might be able to decide who is going to control the Senate in November. As for why right now, Thursdays is September 1st, and that's usually kind of marks the time where most Americans start to tune into the midterms for the first time. So this speech on Thursday is really going to set the tone for the president as we head into the midterms and what he views as his midterm message.
And you mentioned how important Pennsylvania is. We know this is actually going to be the president's third event in Pennsylvania just this week. Today, he's there to talk about his Safer America plan on gun crime. Quickly, what can you tell us about that?
That's right. He's going to tout the bipartisan bill that was passed earlier this year. And he's also going to try to address an issue that Democrats historically have been vulnerable on, and that's crime. We know that he's going to talk about January 6th, and he's going to say how important a role law enforcement played there. Again, trying to sort of back Republicans into a corner there from their position on January 6th. And he's still going to go after some Republicans and say that they have not done enough on gun control and did not go far enough in some of the bills that he was pushing for. So that's something we expect to hear from him today, and we'll be watching out for that.
All right, Lauren Egan, thank you so much. This morning, NASA engineers are working to fix a problem that delayed yesterday's launch of the Artemis 1 mission. It is a high-stakes moment for the space agency, which will spend $90 billion on the Artemis program through 2025, with the goal of establishing a base on the moon. But first, NASA needs to test the rocket and capsule that will eventually take astronauts, including the first woman and person of color, to the moon's surface, nearly 50 years after the Apollo missions. Joining us now is Lori Garver, NASA's former deputy administrator and author of Escaping Gravity, My Quest to Transform NASA and Launch a New Space Age. So good to have you with us, Lori. Thanks for joining us. Give us a sense of what you think is going on right now at Kennedy Space Center, and how concerning are these tech problems?
Well, the team was exhausted yesterday, so I'm sure they're getting back to work this morning to determine whether they can fix what happened enough to do another launch attempt on Friday. This is a really important mission because NASA has been at it for 12 years. It has cost $43 billion, and NASA in a way feels, I think, that it's competing with the private sector, who has been successfully launching astronauts these last couple of years, and SpaceX. But I think that's the wrong way to look at it. I hope they're not feeling that way, because in our nation, you know, the government drives technology, and the private sector should be partnering with them. The private sector has really gotten out ahead of NASA in the launch arena, and I think these delays are embarrassing for the agency.
I mean, let's talk more about that. Artemis is already years behind schedule. It's far more expensive than originally thought, and unlike SpaceX, which you mentioned, or Blue Origin rockets, NASA's space launch system isn't reusable. So what makes this return to the moon so important? And in your mind, is it worth it?
Well, I think returning to the moon is a wonderful thing, a good goal, but doing so with this old technology at such a cost is problematic. I think that ultimately, when we left the moon 50 years ago, we thought going back would happen sooner. But if it hadn't, we certainly would have thought we would be doing it with new technology and with reusability and a lower cost, so that exploration would be sustained. You know, NASA uses the words sustainable, and we're going on the moon to then learn how to go to Mars. But in actuality, these are reused shuttle parts, and they aren't working so well.
All right, Lori Garver, thank you so much for joining us this morning. We appreciate your perspective and your expertise on this one. Turning now to a growing water crisis in Jackson, Mississippi, where the situation is so bad the governor is now declaring a state of emergency. The city has been under a water boil order for 4 weeks after it was hit by severe storms that caused extreme flooding. And now pumps at the city's main water treatment facility have failed. That's leaving people without enough water to flush toilets or fight fire.
We began preparing for a scenario where Jackson would be without running water for an extended period. Over the weekend, we started developing water distribution plans, sourcing tankers, and assessing all of the risk associated with an event like this. All of this was with the prayer that we would have more time before their system ran to failure. Unfortunately, that failure appears to have begun. As we speak, we are drafting a state of emergency declaration with regards to Jackson's failure to produce running water.
Now, the mayor of Jackson says that the public schools will shift from in-person learning to virtual today. NBC News correspondent Stephanie Gosk has more on the difficult challenges people there are facing.
In Jackson, Mississippi, school drop-off isn't just for the kids. It's also for the water. The entire city is facing a boil water notice again.
We're told don't wash your hair with the water, don't brush your teeth with the water.
Lakeisha Galilan worries about her 8-year-old.
Is she going to walk over to a water fountain and drink from that water fountain?
To be safe, signs are up at the middle school. They've been there a long time.
You can't remember a time when the kids could use the water fountains in the school?
I can't remember. I honestly can't remember.
George Stewart has taught here for 6 years, a predominantly black, low-income school. On top of all the other challenges, water quality and water pressure are a constant battle.
At one point, we had to shut down for about 2 weeks.
When?
This was maybe a year or two ago.
In the middle of the pandemic?
Absolutely, absolutely.
Class went virtual. Kids fell further behind.
We have many students who consider some of our most vulnerable students who virtual learning does not help them at all.
The problem here, like so many other places, is failing infrastructure.
This is one of 2 water treatment facilities in Jackson, and the one largely to blame for the most recent citywide boil water notice. And officials still can't tell people when the water will be safe to drink again.
In 2020, an EPA report cited a long list of problems with the water system, including failure to replace lead pipes, faulty monitoring equipment, inadequate staffing.
There's been a failure to recognize this as a unified problem, as a problem both on the state and even at times the federal level, understanding that we lived in an aging America.
Shokwe Antar Lumumba is Jackson's mayor.
If I could write you a check right now to fix the problem, how big would that check have to be?
For the water system alone, it would have to be in excess of more than $200 million.
Pastor C.J. Rhodes, father of twins, has watched many in Jackson lose faith in their leaders.
I don't think our congregation is the only one that feels that way. You talk to people all across the city. Many are livid. Many want to vote people out.
Not far from the surface, concerns that racial inequities could be to blame.
I am concerned about my city, filled with residents that look like me. I think this is an opportunity to change the narrative of what Mississippi is known for.
And that can start, he says, by providing the most basic of needs, water. Stephanie Gosk, NBC News, Jackson, Mississippi.
Let's get a check on your morning news now. Weather meteorologist Michelle Grossman joins us now. Hey, Michelle, good morning.
Hey there, Joe. Great to see you. And we had a stormy day yesterday. So many spots in the Midwest to the Southern Plains saw some storms. We saw wind reports, 228 wind reports. We saw some hail as well. And we saw some flash flooding. Lots of people this morning without power. And we're going to see the chance for more severe weather as we go throughout the day. So this is what we saw in terms of those storm reports. Again, the wind, that was the biggest concern. The Storm Prediction Center doing so well with their forecast yesterday. We're going to see more wind today with winds gusting over 60 miles per hour. More downpours as well. We're seeing them at this hour. Again, where you see those darker colors, the brighter colors, the yellows, the reds, the oranges, in portions of the Northeast Ohio Valley, into portions of the Southern Plains, specifically through Texas. We're looking at some very heavy rain right now. This could lead to flash flooding in spots, especially in New Mexico and also in Texas. But it's the Northeast that we're watching a cold front move through. It's moving through really warm, humid air, and that's going to bring us a chance for some strong to severe storms. And they could come at the worst time at our evening commute. So Philly, Baltimore, D.C. could see some of those stronger storms, but we are seeing those heavy downpours right now. Most of those storms just rain. We're not seeing any severe weather this morning. So there's that cold front. It's a long stretching one from portions of New England down through the Southern Plains, and we will see storms firing along this front, so Atlanta to Boston, and then heavy downpours once again in the Gulf Coast communities. Not great news with all that rain that we saw the past week and a half. It's already so saturated. Any additional rain could cause some flooding. Tomorrow we'll see the Northeast drying out by lunchtime, and then more storms erupting across the South, especially in Texas and along the Gulf Coast states. Your severe threat for today, winds gusting to 60 miles per hour. That could certainly cause some damage on its own, bringing down some tree limbs, some power lines. Could see some hail, could see a quick tornado, a quick spin up, but that chance is low. So Burlington to Scranton State College, Philadelphia, D.C., also Baltimore, you could see some stronger storms. We're concerned about the forecast, too, in terms of the rainfall, especially in New England, interior portions of the Northeast, where we're seeing some heavy rain, the potential for in portions of upstate New York, so 1, 2, 3 inches of rain. A flood threat today for 1 million people in portions of New Mexico, also Texas. We do have a flash flood warning this morning. That's where you see the little red box in portions of southern Texas. And we'll end it here because we're looking at a really warm day, Joe, in the west. We're starting another heat wave. We're looking at temperatures into the 90s and also triple digits. Back to you.
Another scorcher. All right, Michelle, thank you so much.
Thanks for watching our YouTube channel. Follow today's top stories and breaking news by downloading the NBC News app.